Hey, hello again, everybody. So, Kierkegaard's big work is either or, or at least one of his many works, but a touchstone of his philosophy is either or. And we get a little bit of that here in the reading. So, um, Kierkegaard is upset by Sunday Christianity. What does that mean? That means just people that show up to church on Easter and on Christmas or people who come to church every Sunday, but who sort of lack a robust existential commitment to their religion. So it's this phenomenon, right? Just people who are kind of showing up to church and not really following through within the entirety of their life, right? People who kind of compartmentalize their religion. It's these folks that motivate so much of Kierkegaard's work. So, the notion of either or is that he wants to say that being religious or being Christian is something that turns on and off, right? Either you're just like super fully committed or you're like you don't have anything, right? Rather than having these degrees of being religious or being Christian. So 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 this phenomenon, right? Pushing back on the superficial people that Kierkegaard is around in his Danish society, this motivates so much of his work. So according to Kierkegaard, look, we are in a life or death situation. We are in a very high stakes situation. First of all, we don't have very long to live, right? And that means that it is of super urgent importance for us to get it right because we don't have very much time. So, according to Kierkegaard, right, things like Christianity, things like religion, things like God's existence are not something to just like mull over or like discuss just for the sake of discussing them. Or be like, we had a really good conversation. That's great. No, these things are pressing in on us. We are in a life or death type situation. So our author, I think, correctly draws a connection to one of the Buddhist sutras, where the Buddha is going over that there's um, uh, a person who comes to the Buddha with all of these questions like, "Look, is there life after death? Does the external world really exist? Will the Buddha continue to exist after the Buddha's death? Did the Buddha pre-exist?" All of these things, all of these like hoity-toity, high-minded, philosophical questions. And the Buddha continues to refrain from answering this person's questions. And the Buddha says that, look, if you were shot by an arrow, right, you're not going to be thinking about where did the arrow come from? Who shot the arrow? What's the arrow made out of, right? You're not going to be thinking about all these like academic-y questions, right? You're going to be looking for a surgeon. You're going to be trying to mitigate the blood loss. You're going to be trying to save your own life, right? So similarly, right? You are in a situation kind of like the guy with the arrow, right? You are in a situation, and what you need to do is cultivate virtues. You need to live out a robust Buddhist life, right? And not worry about all of these other questions, right? Given that the stakes are just so high and we only have so much time. So Kierkegaard is very similarly saying, like, look, we don't need to be thinking about all these hoity-toity philosophical questions and like pontificating about them. No, we need answers. We need to jump to conclusions. We need to very quickly do things and act as if we are in a high stakes situation. So We, according to Kierkegaard, we need to know things that are existential, right? Things that our entire existence is contingent upon, and not just think about those things as pontification, right? So, uh, this is Kierkegaard's view of religion, right? He thinks that we need to just go whole hog into Christianity, right? Because we are in such a high stakes situation. And so we have to just make the leap, right? And not worry about the philosophical details. We just need to make the leap. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in our next lecture.